So welcoming you back to the practice and the class, the endocrinology system. We had a module last week in our 800-hour yoga teacher training, and you can see how the glandular system and the organ system tie into the chakra system. And we can all benefit from hearing it more and more, that our hormonal and endocrine system is tied into our mental well-being, not only our physical well-being. And every day deserves our respect and our recognition. So we can nourish this system, or we can spend it wisely or unwisely. So let's sit for a bit of quiet together, and then I'll move back to my mat for the pranayama practice that we'll do. So please sit upright and appreciate yourself for making the effort to be here. You can rest your hands in your lap. When you inhale, begin to listen for the most subtle form of your ujjayi breath. It's elegant, it's simple, it has consistency, and there's a very light sound that comes with the most subtle form of your ujjayi breath. Notice where in the upper palate, the back of the mouth, the sinuses, where you feel the arrival of the inhale. Listen also for the sound of the exhale, and notice where you feel the sensations of the exhale in the back of the throat, up in the sinuses. Where do you feel those sensations? Start to become aware of the stillness for the air during the inhale pause and during the exhale pause. So each day that we begin our practice and we have these breath cycles, we're kind of getting the biofeedback. We're getting the readout of the sensations of the systems of the body. We're getting information about the quality of the mind and our capacity for attention. Now take your right hand up, and with your two fingers into the center of your palm, rest your thumb and your ring finger on both sides of the nose and close them both partway, gently, and then inhale through the nose. And exhale also through the nose. And do that twice more, please. Just noticing what happens when you put a slight restraint onto the inhale and the exhale. And then release your right hand. And bring your palms together at your heart. So just noticing that we're going to be integrating that technique. It's called pratiloma. We'll integrate that here and there through class so you can get kind of acclimated to it. Okay, let's chant together. Sahana Vavatu. Om Sahana Vavatu. Sahana Bhunaktu. Savidyang Karavavai. Tejasvinavaditamastu. Ma Vidveshavai. Om Sahana Vavatu. Sahana Bhunaktu. Savidyang Karavavai. Tejasvinavaditamastu. Ma Vidveshavai. Om Sahana Vavatu. Sahana Bhunaktu. Savidyang Karavavai. Tejasvinavaditamastu. Ma Vidveshavai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Guru Pyo Namaha. Hari Om. You may bow your head to your heart, appreciating your efforts to be here and everyone else's efforts as well. And then please raise your head and release your hands as you are ready to. I'm going to shift my camera because I will be more visible, and I'll do the pranayama seated on the floor with you. I'm also going to step out of the light beam, which is beautiful, but also still difficult for my brain. Okay, so taking your seat as much as you can cross-legged, excuse me. I'm going to ask you to take the hands like we've been doing out over your knees and make the fingers firm so that when you pull up, you really feel that there's this kind of scaffold or structure, and the central channel, the energy has to rise up deliberately through there. So seeing who's here today, I get to teach to your level of interest and capacity, which means we're moving up a tiny notch here. And so with the fingers, let's inhale, roll up with the ujjayi breath, up and up like a cow pose. And then exhale and curl down, down and down like a cat pose. Inhale, roll up. Exhale, curl down. Twice more. Last one. Roll up to your seat. Take your right hand up and do 2 breath cycles where you give a little restraint to the breath. with the finger, ring finger, and the thumb. So you made a subtle change in the opening through which the ujjayi breath is passing. So listen for any slight change in the sound and also the pace of the breath. Notice again the sensation of the air at the upper part of the throat. And then release your right hand back to your lap. Notice any sensations happening near the third eye, the sixth chakra. Turn your palms face out, please. And as you inhale, go lower, middle, and upper thirds of the breath at the pace of the arms. At the top of the inhale, look up. And then exhale, side bend to your left. Place the left hand on the floor, bend your left elbow, whatever amount is appropriate for you. Inhale, rise up and look up. Exhale to the right. Inhale, rise. Exhale, left. Inhale, rise, of course, at your own pace. And going left, right, excuse me. Rise back up, last one. Now exhale, twist right. Inhale, rise. Twist left. Rising. Twist right. Rising. Twist left. Rising up. And exhale, press out. Place your hands back over your knees. Relax and let your attention come to the place between your eyebrows, both to soften that area that carries tension or stress, also to observe any sensations that come there. Now we're going to do a practice where you sip the inhale. It's small sips of breath coming up to a completed inhalation. Then we suspend the inhale. And we're going to exhale out through the tiny lips like a straw, making the exhale as long as possible. The inhale with the sips is also through the same tiny straw. And these inhale sips, you might have 8 or 10 or 12, for example, and then one long continuous exhale. So like this. Exhale when you're ready. Deeply relaxed. So that exhale is a concentrated, slow, thoughtful exhale, and the belly's getting more and more toned. Then that deep relaxation is to welcome the next inhalation to come. Let's do this twice more, please. Sipping the inhales first. At your timing, exhale. And you deeply relax. The next inhale comes when you feel your equilibrium has returned. And do it one more time, please. And sit quietly again and notice any sensations between the eyebrows. Also observe the quality of your mind. So our aim now is to take this sort of mind quality into the physical practice. And I'd like you to come over to your hands and knees in pupil pose and place your knees on the two blankets so that your shin bones are supported And that way the kneecaps, especially for those of you who have knee replacements, the kneecaps will not be in trouble. You place the 2 blocks under your hands. So essentially your whole table pose is right now elevated. Okay, and let's inhale to cat. Exhale to cow pose. Inhale to cat pose. Exhale to cow pose. Keeping your left hand where it is, step the right block and your right hand forward. And then inhale to cat. Exhale to cow. Inhale, cat pose. Now this time, exhale, pick your left knee up towards your left elbow. And then inhale, stretch your left leg straight back, bring your chest and heart forward, and raise your right arm. It's called bird dog pose. And then exhale, touch the left shin down, right hand down, find your way there, and inhale to cat. Exhale, pick up your left knee towards your left elbow. Inhale, bird dog pose. Take the left leg straight back, right arm forward. And then exhale to table with your right hand forward, left knee on the blanket. And one more time, inhale to cat. Exhale, raise your left knee up. Inhale, bird dog pose. Notice the balance and strength and integration needed, especially notice across the low belly, mid belly, and then table pose. Inhale. And now return your right hand and left hand to be symmetrical. Okay, take the left hand forward, so it's like puppy dog pose, and inhale to cat. Let's warm up the spine. Just exhale and come through to cow pose, noticing your upper back. It has a twist and a little side bend. Okay, inhale to cat. And exhale to cow pose. So this is exercising many things, but one of the focuses is in the thoracic spine and the chest and heart. So there we have the thymus gland, which is important for your immune system. Let's do this one more time to cow. Then we're going to add the bird dog pose in. Okay, so inhale to your cat pose. Now exhale, squeeze your right knee up. Notice the tone of the right low belly. And then inhale, take the right leg back, left arm forward, bird dog pose. And exhale to your table pose, which is going to require some coordination. Okay, inhale to cat. Exhale, raise your right knee up. Notice the right low belly. Inhale, bird dog pose. Keep the right arm steady, reach your left arm forward and up. Exhale to table. Try bringing your right shin and your left hand back at the same moment. Last time through, inhale to cat. Exhale, sweep your right knee up. Inhale, bird dog pose. And exhale to table pose. Walk your left hand back. Now, because the knees are elevated, drop your hips down to your heels so you have an elevated child's pose. The knees are up, but the feet are not. And I know that our friends with knee replacements cannot do this child's pose completely. Please take 1 block, or if you need to, 2 blocks for the head, and try dropping the elbows down towards the floor in front of your knees. I would like your head to be about the same height as your heart, neck, and throat. So that's why you might add a block to the situation. Let the hips get really heavy towards the heels. For those of you for whom your knees are allowed to bend this deeply. If you're not able to bend the knees this deeply, it can be helpful to go on your back with the 2 blankets under the pelvis and bring the knees to the chest with your hands on the back of the hamstring, so you're not asking your knee joints to do more than they can do. This is a little squeeze of the reproductive organs right now. And each breath is a chance to send a message down to the reproductive organs and to nourish the deep inner abdomen. And then walk your hands back towards your knees. If you are lying on your back, roll to your side and please come up. And then for everyone, please rise up to standing in wide leg forward bend, parsvakonasna. You can scoot your blankets out of the way, walk your blocks forward. And as you walk the hands forward, go ahead and reach your hips back. And I'd like us to do this with 2 straight legs. To let the left hip rise as you glide your pelvis to the left, so the right leg will seem longer than the left leg. And 2 straight legs as you glide your hips to the right, so the right hip goes up, the left leg will seem longer than the right. And let's just glide through there a few times. While you want it to be smooth and consistent, let the breath go with you. And don't push on the bony end range. It's not as important as the other work that we're doing. So when you swish the pelvis to your left, notice what happens across the deep abdominal wall, especially just above the pubic bone and below the belly button. And likewise, when you swish the belly and the pelvis to the right, how are those deeper abdominal muscles helping? And you could imagine that toning is also giving a little squeeze, a little massage to the reproductive organs. Let's please go one more time to each side. And as you come back to center, walk your hands and your blocks back. Place your hands on your hips. Rise up to standing. Turn your toes out, knees out. Come down to your jazz dance warm-up pose. Okay. So now, I said this yesterday also because we did that practice and this one in tandem yesterday as well. Your torso was inverted. Now it's more upright. And we're going to glide side to side. This time I'd like you to be aware when you're transitioning side to side. Go ahead and use the breath, of course. But be aware of also what happens in the pelvic floor. If you could imagine, you have a right hemisphere and a left hemisphere to the pelvic floor. So when you glide to your left, what do you imagine is happening there? As you glide to the right, notice how responsibilities are being passed from left to right and from right to left. For anybody who wants to, as you glide left, you could straighten the right leg. And vice versa, as you glide right, you could straighten your left leg. There's also a responsibility being passed as you put the body weight into even the shoulders and arms are having a responsibility. On your next inhale up to center, let that be the last one. Return to the jazz dance warm-up pose. Take a deep breath in Press out with the inner thighs and knees. Press down from your shoulders to your hands. Inhale again, please. And then exhale, press down and rise up to standing. And let's go toe, heel, into center. Stand up tall and notice. So we began in the upper chakras at the sixth chakra, pituitary and pineal gland. Then we took a little trip down into the pelvis. So you might notice a connection along the way, or what you might notice is that there's places of disconnection. So keep paying attention in this way. Let's please step forward. This surya namaskar is going to include the pose called parsvakonasna, which is the side angle pose. Join your hands, please. We'll come back into the sound of the ujjayi and notice the location of the breath in the upper part of the throat, in the sinus cavities there. And keeping the breath sound consistent and smooth, please inhale, sweep your arms wide, so lower, middle, and upper. And straight away to Uttanasana, exhale, come forward. Inhale, glide forward. Slowly listen into the sound of the breath. Exhale, left toes straight back. Pivot your left heel to the floor to line up with your right heel. And inhale your left arm forward like in the bird dog pose. And then rotate to your left. Scoot your right hip under your left hip. Lengthen your right inner thigh towards your right knee. And as you tone your outer right hip, root into your outer right heel. Lengthen from your left lower belly to your left heel. And keeping all of that stable, notice what your breath is able to do in the deep abdomen. So you can imagine the inhale is unbiased and non-exclusive. It comes down to touch the interior of the sacrum, the interior of the hip joints, the lower belly. That's going to include the reproductive organs. And the exhale is a beautiful toning of that region too, including your pelvic floor, the transverse abdominis, the obliques, rectus abdominis. A little pressure with each exhale, tiny pressure against the glands and organs in the abdomen. And with your next exhale, reach your left arm actively forward as if you were placing it on a block way out in front of you, like that bird dog we were doing before. Then touch the block and let's inhale, step forward, heart forward. And exhale for Uttanasana. Inhale, glide forward, go slow. And exhale, take your right toes back. Pivot your right heel to the floor. Of course, you can make the block for your left hand taller if you need to, or even stack 2 blocks if you need to. Inhale your right arm forward like the bird dog. And then begin to rotate to your right. Lengthen your upper inner right thigh towards your right knee, like in the jazz dance pose. And connect between your outer right heel and your outer right hip. And then lengthen from your, that was on your left leg. Lengthen from your right low belly into your right heel. So make the foundation really stable and give yourself the opportunity then to really notice what is the breath able to do when you have a stable enough yoga pose and a stable enough mind. Listen to the sound of the breath. Also notice its location inside your throat and your sinuses. And then exhale and reach long as you come down, reach way past the front of the mat, and then place your hands, both hands on your blocks. Step backwards to downward dog pose. Inhale forward to plank pose. And exhale, step over your feet so your toes are pointed. Make that the base of seal pose, then inhale to go up. And exhale to table. And then back to a regular child's pose. Bring your hips back to your heels. Walk the hands down. Make a little pillow of your hands for your head. And then walk yourself up to kneeling for a few moments and see if you can sense again now this communication between the deep organs in the abdomen and the organs, the glands up in the head. We want to sense that there is like a river of communication cascading from the pituitary down through all of the glandular and organ systems. Also messages going back to the home office. So take your right hand like we do for Nadi Shodhana and come into that just gentle squeeze, like you're putting a little clothespin, but not a strong clothespin, against the nose. Let's do 2 ujjayi breath cycles, please. And then rest your right hand in your lap. Notice what is happening now. What is the quality of the mind? Take your 2 stacked blankets again. And you're going to lie on your back with your hips on the blankets. So get into position thoughtfully, please. So that when you lie backwards, you know that you're not going to fall over on the way down. So in this position, we have, like, this is the latitude over the hips, and then let's consider these other latitudes coming towards the shoulders. So I'm going to call those latitudes because I don't have a better word for it at this time. Take the arms out into a T shape and put the knees up at the latitude of the hips. So at the first chakra. And then exhale and lower your knees towards the right side without falling off of the blankets and without coming all the way down to the floor. Then inhale up to center. And exhale over to your left side. Now, here is like a declaration I want you to make with yourself. When you're doing this practice, you're doing it only so far as, and with as much effort as the breath is infinitely quiet and smooth in the ujjayi sound. And if what you start to see is that your breath reflects a state of stress or tension, then modify how you're practicing the physical pose. Or check and see what the mind is doing about your practice and if it's pressuring you in some way. When your knees are lowering to one side, notice how the lower abdomen passes the responsibility, and you can feel opposite sides of the abdomen having different duties. When you're coming up to center, same idea. There's going to be a collaboration there. Make the physical effort without disturbing the breath. Now transition your knees to be at the latitude of the belly button, so near to the second chakra. And now the latitude of the stomach, the pancreas, the solar plexus. So at the third chakra. And then the latitude of the heart. So your knees will be the closest. That means you have the most flexion in the spine right now. And the twist has to be more prioritized into the mid-thoracic and the upper thoracic. And do it one more time in each direction, please. And then when you release your feet to the floor, you're going to be in supported bridge pose. So come down, place your feet flat on the floor, let your body rest. Give full support to your pelvis and your sacrum. And now I'd like you to lift your hips and slide the blankets to the side so they're not going to be in your way. And with the hips lifted, reach under to clasp your hands at the small of your back for a moment. Give a good squeeze of the fingers together. Scoot the shoulders under. And inhale to go up to bridge pose. And try really noticing your capacity for the exhale to lead to a place of quiet. So let's say you have a thoughtful inhale, you have a thoughtful exhale. At the end of the exhale, can you relax about the timing that happens for the next inhalation? And then lower yourself down, roll down, sneak the shoulders out to a place that they're comfortable, and take the legs out and the arms out to a savasana pose. And let yourself rest really deeply. So we did work through the organ system there. Not only the glandular and organ system, of course, but since we did, I'd like you to imagine that there's a kind of internal bath that's happening, an internal shodhana, an internal cleansing. Allow every part of you to deeply relax, to be restored. Welcome your mind to be deeply, deeply at rest. And the inner systems of your body are replenishing themselves. Welcome the mind and the body to continue deepening down and down into your savasana. And welcoming the mind to stay in the background, quiet in the background. Can make a thoughtful transition from resting back to sitting. When you come to your seat, use a seat that you may have started your practice in so you have a little reference point. And come upright and bring the fingers up so your thumb and ring finger are going to partially close the nose, high up near the bone of the nose. We'll do 2 ujjayi breaths. And rest your hand in your lap. Rest your thinking mind in the quiet stream of awareness itself. Please bring your hands to your heart. Thank you very much for being here. Namaste. I will come up and see you. I'd like to find out how you experience that nostril strategy for shifting the breath. And how are you doing?
Sarahjoy,
Please stay in quiet meditation if you need to. Yes.
I'd just like to say a few things about the experience of the class, which was really, really fine. By the time I got into relaxation and then sitting afterward, the sensation inside my body and in my mind was like when you look out on the water and the sunlight is hitting various points, and they're glinting in the sun.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I experienced and felt. So thank you. It was a wonderful practice.
You're welcome. Thank you for that beautiful image. Yes, I know that moment. Yeah. So nice. Also, it's your maturation that lets us practice like this, right? Each of us, there's a certain amount of development needed to try the deeper practices. And sometimes deeper is actually more subtle, right? Like what I'm saying is a more subtle practice is a deeper practice. We should not think of as deeper just related to the hamstrings, for example, as you know. Yeah. Anybody else you want to say?